Broadcasting live from Syracuse, New York, it's the PS&Ed Show. Addressing topics of public safety, education, and much more. Please welcome your hosts, Matt Mallory and Pat Kimball.
Hey guys, this is Pat with PS&Ed, and we're here with some more of our survival series for you guys. So in the last video we talked a little bit about fire, okay, and how that can help you in a survival situation. That's one of our pillars of survival, along with food, right? So we're out here today and we want to talk a little bit about foraging in the woods. If we're out in the woods, we may want to have some food with us. That might be a good idea, right? So I could have something like this banana here. Now the banana is good. It's got carbohydrates and sugar, and it's going to give me some energy for a little while. It's going to fill me up for a short period of time, but I might want to find something with a little bit of protein in it, right? Because that's going to help me stay full for longer. It takes your body longer to break down protein, right? So I could have something like this Larabar, which maybe has a little bit more protein in it. So we got 5 grams of protein in this bar. So again, that's going to give us a little bit more energy, a little bit more nourishment than the banana, but for the long term, with all the sugar and stuff, it might not be the best option, right? So we still may have to locate something in the wild, okay? So as we're moving through these trails, it's a good idea if we have some kind of way to identify what it is that we're looking at out in the woods, right? And for that purpose, I have this foraging book. I have this mushroom identification guide. I also have this guide to medicinal plants, okay? These are good things for you to have when you're traveling around, especially if you're in somewhere where you've never been before, because this might give you a better idea of some of the things that are around you that maybe are edible or even poisonous to you. So if we move down this trail just a little ways.
When we talk about medicinal, we're not talking about marijuana, right?
We're not talking about marijuana. We're not talking that medicinal.
All you Cuomo lovers out there.
So if we move down this trail here, we can see on some of these trees we got some mushrooms, right? So let's see what kind of mushroom we have. Okay, so we look at these mushrooms and we notice a couple things. First of all, they're stemless, right? That's an important characteristic of your mushrooms. And looking at these, it looks like they are turkey tail mushrooms, which are edible. They're actually quite good, okay? So these might be turkey tail mushrooms. However, there's a lot of other mushrooms out there that look kind of similar to one another. It can be difficult to tell the difference sometimes for those of us that are uninitiated. So what we'd want to do is we'd want to take one of these mushrooms off of here. Okay, we'd want to break it up into smaller pieces, and then in order to test it for edibility, we would want to touch it to a sensitive area of our skin, right? First of all, well, the smell, right, is going to give you some hints. If it smells foul to you, there might be some danger there. We can take a small piece, we can touch it to a sensitive area of our skin. Notice the characteristics of this mushroom, guys, when you go to break it up. See how it's kind of meaty like that? Your identification guide will tell you a little bit about each of these different mushrooms. So I can take this and I can actually do the edibility test where I touch it to a sensitive area of my skin. Notice I'm not going to put it right into my mouth, right? Because I don't want to get poisoned. But I don't want to ingest poison. But I do want to know if this is going to give me some kind of an adverse reaction. So I can hold this against my skin for a few minutes, and if I don't have any sort of reaction, okay, maybe it's good to eat. Maybe now I can actually put it inside of my mouth, and we just kind of wait. We hold it in our mouth, and we just kind of are looking to see if we have any adverse effects from that. Notice how small this piece is.
Adverse effects might be slurred speech.
Stomach ache, right? Nausea,
yeah,
blurry vision, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Any of these things are going to tell us that this isn't something that we want to eat, right?
That's why we're doing it in small batches and taking your time in between each of these steps too.
Incremental steps, guys, right? So first, the universal edibility test goes, we touch it to a sensitive area of our skin.
Genitals are not really a good area. You should probably.
I would stay above the equator with that, guys. Definitely above.
You know me, I had to throw that.
You had to throw that in there. So then we can take a little piece, again, we can put it into our mouth, we can kind of see if we have any adverse reaction, numbness of the mouth, tingling, burning sensation, anything like that. Okay, we're good to go on that. Maybe we can chew just a little bit, give it about 30 minutes or so once you've started to ingest these things. And if after 30 minutes you have no ill effects with a small amount, you can go ahead and consume a little bit more. but don't go crazy, okay? Moderation is key, especially when we're talking about wild resources, because we might not have all that much on hand. We might have to stretch these things out for a while, okay? But understanding how to determine what's edible and what's not is a good thing. Understanding what are some of the wild resources that you may be able to forage for in your area is a good thing. Having some kind of food source on your person is a good thing. And understanding a little bit about the nutritional attributes of the foods that you're bringing with you. We want things that are nutrient dense. We want things that are high in protein. We want things that maybe do have a little bit of sugar in them for that quick burst of energy, but we don't want something that's so overloaded with sugar that there's nothing good in there for us to sustain us for the long term.
And one thing we can look at too here is we get into a point where we're finding other things on the tree. You see woodpeckers have been on here, so there's grubs and stuff in there. Worms might be another thing, right, Pat? What kind of other things could they eat to sustain if they absolutely had to?
Okay, great. Let's talk about
mentality.
Let's talk about some things that we might not have to forage. Let's talk about things we might have to capture and kill, right? So we might be able to lift over some of these logs. You can see there's debris and stuff laying by my feet. There's this dead tree here. We could start breaking some of this apart, see if we could find some insects or some grubs, some worms. Obviously, we could make a snare, use a slingshot if we had some kind of an air rifle or a 22 or something. That might be handy to harvest some
Henry
squirrels.
AR-7 breakdown that you can have in your
Henry AR-7
bag.
survival rifle,
Yep.
right? That's a good survival tool in this kind of mindset. So again, guys, we may have food with us. We may have to forage for something. We may have to capture and kill something. But knowing what's around us for good sources of nutrition is a really positive thing when we're out in the woods, and particularly if we plan to be there for a couple days.
And practicing with that stuff too, making a snare. In a lot of areas, a snare is illegal, like New York State. But if you're going to die, I'd rather worry about a fine from the DEC than, dying. So
Yeah.
starving. So making a snare, learning how to do that, practicing it, not trying to snare something, but knowing how to actually do it is a good idea.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good resources out there that are available to you. As far as like YouTube will show you how to make some really neat traps and snares and things like that. So educate yourself about some of these techniques, guys, because when you're out in the woods, you never know when one of these things can save your life. So that's all I got for today. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment, and hit that little bell so you get those notifications every time we post something new. Thanks for all your support, and get in the comments section, guys. Let us know what you think of the video. Thank you so much.
Are you prepared? Can you survive?